Yeah, listen, I thought there were so many, again, you lose sight of a lot of things. Like, you saw just how effective TJ Edwards is. I believe TJ Edwards now leads the league in
tackles.
not sacks, but tackles. He now has 2 or 3 interceptions. You saw just how athletic Tremaine Edmonds can be on several plays. You saw not just his size, but his speed and his agility. And you see Montez Sweat, the athlete that he is. He's so long. He's so good with his hands. And his closing speed is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you look at this team and they've only got 4 wins, but I could point to a number of guys where I look at some of the players and go, like, I really like this guy. I think that the talent is significantly better right now than it was a year ago. It hasn't equated to wins, hasn't turned into, significantly more wins. But there are a lot of guys you can point to and go, yeah, I see improvement, significant improvement from these guys individually.
And I thought that was a reason why Ryan Poles was happy in the locker room, is because he's starting to see that.
Yeah.
And I think we should do that when we come back.
Smith also, the 5th-round cornerback, I thought was out there playing well.
He showed you that in training camp, and then he was hurt, and then he had the illness, and we haven't seen him as much. Let's do that. Let's go through the list of players that we like and we think are keepers.
Yeah.
That we think is a part of a foundation, because I do think the Bears have the start of some good things going here.
I agree with you.
Like maybe not the coach, and
not everything is perfect,
and we're
obviously.
Right. But I really do think they may be better in some areas than some people give them credit for. Right, let's go through the roster and who are we high on? Okay, who do you have? Because
I started with the defense.
Yes, because that's where I think that secondary and Brisker and Gordon. I think we're both very high.
Both rookie cornerbacks. Smith hasn't played nearly as much as Stevenson. Stevenson has had some bumpy moments, but I think that's. I think we realized that was going to be the case because he plays such a physical brand of football that he was going to get flagged quite a bit early, and he will work through some of that. I like what I've seen from him. Smith in a limited participation level. I thought he played well last night. I thought he had some good moments. You mentioned Gordon. I think Gordon has got the potential to be a Pro Bowler multiple times. He's got to stay healthy. But you play that inside slot position. He's not afraid to tackle. He's very good in a lot of ways. I like him. Brisker, I think, is very solid. Good pick. I think he also has to stay healthy. Dexter's the kid that's starting to get more snaps as your defensive tackle, your rookie, and I think he's starting to show a little bit more. I included TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds as well.
Yes, of course.
And if you look at the numbers, TJ Edwards leads the National Football League in tackles. He also has 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, and 1 fumbled recovery. This is what you're asking for from this defense. Tremaine Edmonds, 2 interceptions, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery. He's their second leading tackler. He has played 2 less games because he had the injury. Has he had the impact that maybe you expected, giving him the giant bag of cash? Maybe not, but he's been good.
You like
really
him on
good.
your team. And
I do.
And for a cheap third linebacker, Jack Sanborn's I like on my team.
Yes. So you have, and obviously Montez Sweat gives you something that you haven't had in quite some time. So, look, those are some really. Now, do they all have to come together and make sure that they don't cough it up at the end of the first half and then in the final 4.5 minutes against the Lions? Yes. But there's a lot of good stuff there. Jalen Johnson as well. I don't want to see him go.
No. But
I'm not going to pay him to be the highest paid cornerback in the league, but I don't want to see him go.
Can you imagine? I said this to you guys during the pre-show fist fight. I said this at halftime too. He's got to run that back for 6 yesterday. He caught 1 for an interception. I asked Eberflus about it. The second one he's got to score on. He had to do that against the Lions. He's got to score on that. If he would have run those 2 back, can you imagine the statement he would have made since they shopped him for the trade? If he would have come back from that after only 3 interceptions his entire career, if he then would have 3 more interceptions since that time, 2 for touchdowns, the statement he would have made to be paid as a premier defensive back.
Would be loud and clear.
Instead, he's dropped 2 pick sixes.
Yes, and I still want him on my team.
Yes, me too, but just not at the premier price.
Right.
You got to make those plays to be premier price.
But I want him on my team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just not, You're
going to
okay.
franchise him.
If I have to, yeah.
Yeah, you're not letting him go.
I
don't
want him to go.
Then on offense.
I think Roshan Johnson is a good football player. Is he elite? Maybe not. But you saw they gave him running back 1 status last night. Not just because, he's a dual-purpose guy. He's got 24 catches on the season. He's averaging almost 4.5 yards per carry, but you trust him in pass protection. Thought there were a couple of instances last night where he picked up not one, but a couple of guys. He did get beat on it, 1 sack. But again, he's a rookie, and you're facing one of the more difficult defensive fronts that you're going to face all year. But I like what I've seen from him. And obviously up front, Jenkins.
I love him. I get
player.
nervous. I get, someone landed on him. Was that his back again?
I'm not sure, but he did come back into the game.
He came back. I get nervous with him.
Wright is also
he's great, but I get nervous.
Braxton Jones is still trying to find his rhythm. I don't know if he's your long-term answer at left tackle, but at the very least, if you have Braxton Jones as a swing tackle, it's not bad. You've got DJ Moore. Cole Kmet fits the inline wide tight end spot. I'd like to see them get someone like Tunyon, but maybe younger and a little more athletic that gives them another tight end that they can go with. So, I mean, look.
You mentioned Moore, too.
Yeah, DJ.
Yeah. What about Nate Davis? Are you still?
Yeah, I like Nate. I mean, when Nate's available, Nate can play.
What about Lucas Patrick?
I think that's a spot you're going to upgrade. But at the end of the day, I love your kicker. Despite missing a 48-yarder to start the game, he's money 95 times out of 100.
Do you know Joniak in the pre-game interview with Eberflus, 15 minutes before the game, was raving about him, and then said about Santos to Eberflus, says, I don't want to put the whammy on him, but, and then proceeded to rave about him, and sure enough, right into the game, he put a whammy on him.
Yeah.
I think he said it to Poles, too, didn't he?
Like when you say, I don't want to put the whammy on him.
You've put a whammy on him.
You've put a whammy on him, and then sure enough, he missed the first
Now,
field goal.
in typical Cairo Santos fashion, he bounced back with a 55-yarder.
Yeah.
I trust him for his position as much as anyone on the team. I'm not saying he's the most valuable player. I'm not saying he's their best player.
Right.
But based on what your job description is and what you're being asked to do, I have as much faith in him as anybody else on the team.
You said that last year, and he started missing extra points.
Well,
so don't whammy him.
I'm not professing to whammy anybody.
All right, so I think they have building blocks.
Yeah, I think the roster is significantly better in a short period of time. And now what you need to do is continue to build the roster and find somebody on both sides of the football that can get the most out of that talent. And I think from a defensive coordinator spot, I think Matt Eberflus has done a pretty nice job recently getting his defense to play. You got to clean up some of the other stuff. As a head coach, there are still some things that leave me. But now you got to find a way to just you put all the ingredients in the cauldron, and now you got to stir it